Here's a question for you. On a scale of 1 to 10, what number would you give yourself to the question, are you living your fullest potential? 1 being, I don't even know what that means. 10 being, I am surfing the wave of my best potential. What number would you give yourself? Hi, I'm Dr. Greg Nelson, and in this video, I want to talk about what it takes to achieve our fullest potential in life. I mean, I'm a maximizer, so I'm always thinking about what is it that I can do? What is it that other people can do? How can they engage with life in a way that gives them the best quality of life possible? So if I were to tell you right now, I have a secret. That secret, if you follow this secret, you will be 3 times as likely to report having an excellent quality of life. Would you want to know that secret? Well, good news is, I'm going to tell you anyway, no matter whether you want to know it or not. But I think deep inside, most of us want to live our fullest potential, and we want to have an excellent quality of life. So I'm talking about the way we use our brains. And what I'm talking about here when I say the way we use our brains is how we are paying attention to, identifying, and then leveraging the way our brains are wired with natural preferences. You've heard of Gallup's Clifton strengths. I'm going to talk about how you can access that in a moment. But Gallup, years ago, developed an assessment as an answer to the question, what are we doing in our lives when we are experiencing the most positive energy? And so they came up with this assessment that measures how your brain is wired with natural preferences so that when you lean into those natural preferences, you are in your zone of highest positive energy. Your zone, really, as you continue to repeat those behaviors, your zone of excellence. It's knowing and living your strengths that is the secret to your quality of life. Now, let me tell you why. Here are 3 reasons why knowing your strengths are so vital. Number 1, knowing your strengths informs you of your unique contribution to everybody around you. At work, at home, everywhere you go. Your unique contribution. See, here's the deal about strengths. Gallup has the research after 22 million people have taken this assessment, and they've discovered that there's a 1 in 33 million chance someone else has your same top 5 strengths as you do in the same order as you. 1 in 33 million. Now, we now know that it's your top 10 that are your natural preferences. So you add a whole nother 5 and that ratio just goes off the chart. All of this to say is when I see this about myself, when I see what these top 10 strengths are and what category they're in, see, Gallup has 34 strengths that it assesses. And all 34 are divided into 4 categories. You have relating strengths. We'll talk about this more in another video. Relating strengths, influencing strengths, executing strengths, and strategic thinking strengths. So when I see my layout of my top 10 in which categories they are, I'm getting a clue about the unique contribution that only I can bring, whether it's to a team or to a relationship. Anywhere I go, my unique contribution. And when we are living in alignment with our unique contribution, which means we are living in alignment with the way our brain has been wired with these natural preferences, my quality of life goes up. I'm telling you. I know this from personal experience and from the thousands of people I've worked with through the years. The quality of life goes up, your confidence level goes up, your stress level goes down because you are choosing to operate within that zone of energy and excellence. Number 1, you will discover and be able to live out your unique contribution. Number 2, it's something that we call conscious competence. See, most of us, unless we have some very serious personality disorders or other things that keep us from living who we really are, most of us are competent at being able to do things. Now, granted, we're more competent in some things than other things, and that's because we're wired differently from others, but we're pretty competent people. The moment I bring my competency into consciousness, Oh, here's why I'm good at doing certain things. Oh, when I do this way, I am very competent. When I bring that into conscious awareness, my competency can skyrocket almost with no limits. Conscious competence gives us more energy, higher quality of life, and we are able to manage our brains more effectively. And then third, that's the third point, the significance to knowing and living our strengths to the idea of brain energy management. See, our brains have all this energy going on. And when we choose courageously and intentionally and strategically to live in alignment with with our brain's natural preferences, we are managing our brain energy in the most effective way possible. I have a brain function specialist who uses a finance analogy to say, when we are operating outside the zone of natural preference, our strengths, our brains are spending $100 to every unit of energy expended. $100 to every unit of energy expended. When, however, we are choosing to live in alignment with and our brains are working in that zone of strength and natural preference, our brains are spending $1 to every unit of energy expended. Now you tell me, which is a better, more effective way to manage the energy of your brain? In fact, she believes, this friend of mine, that the high incidences of brain disease in our culture is one of the contributing factors is this lack of intentionality of living in alignment with how our brains are wired. We live out of alignment, our brains are using up unnecessarily this energy. So brain energy management is one of the outcomes of knowing, identifying, and leveraging our strengths. So here's how you access this assessment. I will tell you that it will be the best money you will ever spend. Gallup owns this assessment, and so you go to the Gallup website, Gallup, Gallup.com/Clifton Strengths, one word, Clifton, Clifton, and the word strengths together, one word, Clifton Strengths. You can go to that page and you have several options. You can pay $19.99 and take the assessment, and you will have the 5 top strengths that your brain is wired with, natural preferences. My preference is to go the extra step, pay $49.99, take the assessment, and it will give you your ranking for all 34 strengths. Now, let me tell you why this is strategically significant to me. First of all, when you get the results back and you see your ranking in all 34, you instantly know your top 10, which we know are our primary natural preferences. But then you also know your bottom 10, which would mean your place of lowest energy. And the goal is to spend 70% of your time in the zone of your natural preference, and 30% we have to do things that we may not have a natural preference for. 30%. If we switch that ratio, our brains will pay the price. Remember, brain energy management. We're going to be expending a lot of energy doing things that we don't have a preference for. We can learn how to do them, we can do them well, but I tell you what, our brains are burning up unnecessarily our energy. So what do we do when we simply have to do something we don't have a natural preference for? Well, we collaborate with others who may have that strength. Or we realize that we can learn how to do it, and we know that as we try and we get better at it, we will pay a price, but if we keep it in that 30%, we'll be okay. 70% in the zone of energy, preference, and excellence. So www.gallup.com/Clifton Strengths. If I were you, I'd spring for the $49.99 and get your ranking on all 34 strengths. You'll have a great self-reflection opportunity to look at your top 10, to look at the middle strengths, and to look at the bottom 10, your place of lowest energy. Gallup, with 22 million people, the data and the reporting that they do with these people, has shown beyond a reasonable doubt that people who have the opportunity to use their Clifton strengths regularly in their lives are 3 times as likely to report having an excellent quality of life. Not just okay, not just mediocre, but an excellent quality of life. I got to tell you, that's what I want for myself. And you know what? Because I'm being as strategic and authentic as possible, most of the time, that's my experience. I want this for you too. So check out that resource online, and you will never regret knowing how your brain is wired and how you can live up to your fullest potential. Hey, thanks for listening and watching, and I'll see you next time.